Hi, so today I'm going to do another video with 10-minute figure drawing. Hi, my name is Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist in the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 25 years now, and I'm here to empower you. So another video of 10-minute drawings. Let's see if we can improve on the last time. And again, I'm just going to reiterate that 10 minutes is probably the longest you want to do. Again, the whole point of doing short figure drawings is to iterate, to just get as much beginning establishing part, the establishing part of a figure drawing down. You're going to make the most amount of mistakes faster if you do shorter poses. So the more you do, the more you get that bad stuff out of the way, the more you're able to critically understand what you're doing, how you're doing it, what you ought to improve on, and then learn from it and move on. Spending hours and hours on a single drawing, you may learn something, but you may learn something in an hour from one drawing that you, if you were doing a shorter pose, you would learn more lessons within the same hour doing multiple drawings than you would doing one drawing for 1 hour. So you want to get as much lessons out of your drawing time, making mistakes and fixing them, than just a single drawing that takes forever. You'll just get more out of it. You'll improve faster doing more drawings than less drawing. Basically, it's just that simple. I highly recommend doing shorter poses. 10 minutes is probably the longest you want. And let's take a look at how we could approach a 10-minute drawing. All right, so let's get started. Hopefully I'll be able to avoid doing some of the things that in the last video I was doing. Oops, trying to adjust the size here. Hopefully I'll avoid the flattening the head, making sure to keep the body foreshortened and coming at us or away from us, things like that. Last time I think I flattened the drawing too much in my attempt to try to maybe make a prettier drawing than I really ought to have been making. So keeping those things in mind, I am going to move ahead with these. All right, so let's get the timer started, beginning now. Okay, so just like I do in every single other drawing that I've ever done, I am going to be starting this by putting in the lay-in. And I am already messing up. I need to reduce this, make this smaller. So ideally, I don't want to make this too big. Now here's I am now approaching this in a very different way. I am creating an envelope. An envelope is just a graphic shape that's going to give me the general area of the entire drawing. And the reason I'm doing it this way this time is because this pose is bunched up. And I found that instead of looking at the positive shapes, the body parts, if I create an envelope and just kind of do the negative shapes like these areas, the positive shapes just kind of appear. And especially if you just kind of keep the keep it all within the envelope of this is obviously going through here like this. So what I did was I just looked at all the negative shapes here, this area, this area, this area, to create this exterior kind of graphic silhouette representation of the body. And that was very helpful, and it's very simplified. I didn't put any lumpy bumps. I just kept it very, very, very generic, very simple. And there's another negative space right here. And so what this allows me to do is, now that I've got this shape here, now I can tackle the interior positive shapes, like refining the arm, the hand, the arm and the hand. Especially when you have a bunched up overlapping body parts, you don't get a very clear understanding of all the body parts and what it's doing. But now that I've already got like the general area, the general placement of all the parts, I can start thinking about all this the forms, the three-dimensional, this sort of thing, where we're wrapping around. Here's the knee. So now I'm thinking about all the construction, the solidity, this arm coming down this way, this arm coming out forward like this. This head, so like last time, the head was one of the things that I was doing wrong. So let's not do that this time. If I'm going to make a mistake, I'd rather make this more dynamic than less dynamic. We've got the pit of the neck here. This is supposed to be a female, so I think that perhaps this is too broad, so I'm going to adjust the envelope that I did was a guess. The general shape was a guess, and I think I overextended. Okay, so now that we've got that, and again, it doesn't look very female, so I'm going to have to reduce a lot of this stuff to make it look a little bit more feminine. But this is the direction of the chest. There we go. So I think that we've got this where we want it. And I think that now that we have that, like the light's coming this direction, so maybe, and we've got the solidity, we've actually brought in a lot of what makes it solid as a drawing, as a form. And now we've got 4 minutes left. I'm looking at the time, and I'm going to take my time. I think one of the problems that I was having last time was that I was rushing, and there's really no need to rush. It's just better to get this where it ought to be. And it's wearing a mask, so I might as well just do the mask. But one of the things that I was doing was rushing it, because there is a timer happening, and it was messing with my head, and I was trying to get more done because there's more time, and because of that, I think I was just making bad decisions. It's better to have what you do in the final drawing, what you've got left, be well done, than to have a more finished drawing. I think that I tricked myself into thinking that because we had 10 minutes and the last one was 5 minutes, that that I could most definitely get done with a drawing in that amount of time. That's not the case. I'd forgotten how much there is still a lot of work to do, even in the 10-minute drawing, even though we have more time. There's still a lot. There's still a lot to get done. So here we go. The pecs here, the breasts overlap here. You have leg come in over and through. So now I'm doing some refining of the exterior shapes, making sure that I'm drawing what I see, but at the same time drawing what I know. So it's what you know is what you've been studying your muscles, but what you see is how this person's body is, rather than drawing a formula of muscles. What you do is you draw this person's body. Not the formula. The formula is helpful when to understand, but the reason you do figure drawing is because no matter what, a specific person, the way body fat falls on them, the body type they are not going to fit any formula that you learn exactly correct, exactly right, because each person is different. The more you understand different body types and how real muscles work, you're going to be able to draw upon and draw more convincing bodies and body types. Okay, and then I'm going to come in and just put in the shadows of all the areas that need shadow. Just do some lost edges here. Okay, and that's it. I'm just still doing this because it doesn't really take me. I'm not really looking at the figure. I'm just darkening in everything I already done. I did all the work already. Okay, so that's what we've got here. Oop. Let's just do that. And that. And that. Okay, so that's my 10-minute. We could look at this and come up with things that we could have done better, maybe. For example, here, this is a cast shadow. Let's make sure that when we do cast shadows, we make sure that we know that there are cast shadows. I mean, it really is, at this point, and this is a cast shadow too, I believe. We're just changing the edges, adding little bits and pieces of hard edges wherever there needs to be a hard edge. But yeah, so there we go. Not a so the one thing that we did get that that I like is that we did get some solidity in here this time around. It doesn't, it's not as flat as the last couple of drawings that we did. So that's great. Okay, so this is actually small enough so that I could probably draw the next one down here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the page, I'm going to move it down, and I'm going to attempt to draw the next pose in this area and not get out of control. Okay, so let's get started. Let me turn on the timer. Here we go. So this drawing here is the photo is distorted. If you notice that, so I'm going to try to keep my figure within this area that I'm drawing. I'm gonna envelope the area that I'm going to draw in, so I don't get too out of control. That's one way. Not always. It doesn't always work, but it's one way to at least give yourself a guide as to where you're going to draw. This time I started with the hand because it's the highest area, but this is such a dynamic pose. The one thing I absolutely don't want to lose is how pushed I can make this. So I'm not going to worry about solidity right now. All I want to do is push this pose. It's very, very, very dynamic. So I'm thinking completely gestural here. Usually I try to be careful and make my lay-in very, very clean. This time I am not going to do that. I don't, because it's more important to me this time to make sure that I get the power of this pose more than the cleanliness and beauty of a clean lay-in. So come on. Okay, here we go. And fingers. So I think I got it. I think I pushed it enough. And again, this time around, because of lessons learned, I am going to take my time. Make sure that I have 10 minutes, for crying out loud. Why not take your time? There is no rush. Last time I was rushing a lot. This time I'm going to take it easy. Take it easy. Okay, so now I'm solidifying some things. There. I think that's it. I think I got it. Okay. Now I think I could start doing the lighting. Again, I kind of like doing the lighting first, and this time I'm going to really be simple about it. So I'm not even going to break this arm down into a lot of different. There is a highlight coming from behind. What's it called? A rim light. Yeah, there we go. There's a rim light coming from behind. And there's so this is a very complex, much more complicated light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very thinly put in the line here, and I'm not even doing a fancy version of it. I'm just breaking it down extremely simple. I'm not breaking it down in any crazy complex way. Why? And why did I choose here to do that? Because I think that I just don't need it. I just don't need to be too careful yet. It would just take too much time to be doing that. Now now that I've done this, it's the general idea of the lighting. This arm is extremely complicated. This whole entire drawing is very complicated. So maybe I should start with the head since everybody's going to be looking at the head. So I'm going to do that. The problem with starting with the head and doing too much with the head is that the head is complicated. It's so complicated that you could spend the entire drawing just drawing the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a way to just simplify and get it done in there. Like maybe this is as far as I take it. I don't want to spend too much time here. I could spend the rest of the time just kind of getting this head right. We've got these pecs that are here. We have this cloth that he's holding. So right now what I've got is a general placement of limbs, but now I gotta really define what is happening. Here is the elbow and this radiobrachialis muscle popping out. And then we've got this arm. This is a really complicated arm, shoulder area. One of the hardest arm connection situations you can be drawing is when the arm is raised up like this. I have a really difficult time drawing this arm out of my head when the arm is raised. And so when I look at this, there's some crazy muscle connections and things like that going on here that I'm just not used to. I should probably put the hairline at least in here. Now this, look how clear this boxy shape is from on his torso. And then we have stretched out pecs down here. We have a nipple down here that you can sort of see, but we have these muscles that come out and wrap around, and then we have the glutes that come out and really bend. Here is the separation of each glute here. Really, we want to follow. There's an overlap here like this, and so we want to follow this. So we're looking, there's a twist happening. We're looking at the back here. The back, his lower back is right back here, and then the upper body. So there's a twist. Like we see this, and then it comes and flattens out here. We want to make sure that we capture that twist. Really, really complicated pose. So again, if you were wondering why I simplified everything this time, is because this pose is extremely complicated. So we're looking at the back of the leg here. The knee is here, but we're actually looking at the hamstrings here. And we want these quads to be lower than the hamstrings are higher. And then we want to do these calf muscles, and we want them to be offset. We don't want them to look like a football, tackle football, American football. We want them to be asymmetrical rather than symmetrical. And then we have this. There's a box here. If you look at your Bridgman, he breaks this down. into a boxy shape here. But there is absolutely a box here, and you can see it very, very clearly sticking out. And with men, what is very, what makes them a little bit easier to draw than women is that you can use a lot of straights with them. And using straights gives you a lot of solidity. With women, you kind of want to avoid using too many straights, because but with men you can get away with making a lot of straights, and it just makes them more masculine than anything else. And that's it. That's all our time. So this time around we got even less done, it seems, but the drawing, the figure was way more complicated. And I can't even come in and darken any sides, because there is a core shadow going on. So actually, if I was to have done a little bit more, it would just need to be refining this so that we have a better understanding of what we're seeing. This wraps around here. So there is this was way too complicated for me to have. I would need a little bit more time, which is what I'm doing. I'm taking the extra time to just kind of fill in some of this stuff here. This is the only place where the light is really kind of taking over. Okay, maybe even come in and give some do this instead, like instead of just all the figure getting in dark, we highlight the light and dark sides. And just kind of push this out a little bit more so that we can acknowledge that there was a rim light. Okay, so that is drawing number 2. I didn't even get to this hand. So that's it. That's drawing number 2. That's so I think that it was a good learning experience. The first 10-minute drawings that I did were far more there was more mistakes. There was more. I was rushing too much. I wasn't doing what I ought to be doing. I was trying, I think, because of the video, and I was doing it for the first time. I think I was trying to show off, and that's not okay. It's not okay to just try, like, even like you just want to get like a really cool finished drawing. I think what you end up with is a lot of mistakes because you're trying to be pretty. So this time around, I wasn't trying to be pretty. I was just trying to do a good job. And when you do that, it doesn't even matter if you finish, or it ends up looking better. So lesson learned: try not to show off to camera when you're doing figure drawing, but also just take your time, think about what you're doing, try to do a good job rather than a pretty job. And also, so next time I'm going to see about maybe doing variations on the theme. So I am going to do some heads, And I am not sure if I'm going to be doing 2-minute heads or if I'm going to do 5-minute heads, but I'll think about it and then decide. Probably I'm going to be doing some 5-minute, just really quick head studies, and how I'd approach just doing head studies, because this is the full body, and the full body is its own monster. But like I said, when I was drawing the head on the figure here below, I could have spent the whole time just working out the head and not gotten anywhere else. So this time around, I didn't do that. I just kind of implied the head, and then I finished that. So and then I finished the rest because I thought that having a more finished figure is better than having a nice looking head. All right, so that is it. So here we have the final drawings, and with the that I did with the models, and you can compare and contrast and decide whether or not they look all right. Hopefully that's been helpful to you. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time. All right, bye.